first presenter is Clay Helkenberg, a lifelong resident of Chilliwack and better known online as Aquatic Monkey. Clayton's passion lies beneath the surface. An avid diver, he spends countless hours exploring our local BC waterways. From returning lost valuables and cleaning up trash in Cultus Lake to swimming with salmon in the Chilliwack River, every dive tells a story. Sometimes it's a story of what's been lost. Other times it's a reminder of what shouldn't have been there in the first place. Through his videos on cleaning trash from our local waterway, Clayton aims to inspire people to think twice about how they treat our beautiful backyard for future generations to come. Clayton, please.
So when growing up, my family had a cabin on Helkenberg Lake, and I was always around the water. My first boat ride was when I was only 3 weeks old, and ever since then, I've been drawn to the water. For most of my life, that meant the surface of the water, though, through boating and fishing for the most part. Years later, when YouTube came around, I started watching videos of people diving all over the world, and not just diving with turtles in Hawaii, but I was watching videos of guys in the States that were diving in weird places and finding all sorts of treasures. But the average person and I might have different definitions of what the word treasure is, as many just see trash. In 2020, when COVID was going around and the whole world was unsure of what you could and couldn't do, I really wanted to find something that was socially acceptable for me to do at the time. And I went from having 2 jobs to no jobs, so there's a bit of a budget issue. And I figured, well, all these other people are diving around the world, finding cool stuff. Why can't I just do that here? And as it turns out, I could. With almost no budget, I ended up buying some used gear on Craigslist and Marketplace, and I bought some of the cheapest gear you could buy, stuff that I look back on and laugh about now. A part of this was a cheap knockoff GoPro that was pretty bad, so then I just jumped in, started swimming around, looking for treasures. At the beginning, I'd mean to go to Cultus Lake and the Chilliwack River to find what others had lost. I was finding phones and wallets and the odd piece of jewelry, but what really shocked me was the amount of trash in the water beside the treasures. And that didn't really sit right with me, so I started picking up trash too. And very slowly, I started posting videos and photos online of the stuff I was finding, and it really started to take off. Friends of mine liked what I was doing and would join in. I started to meet like-minded people that are now great friends of mine too. About a year in, I found a GoPro 7, and I couldn't find the owner, so I started to use it. With this, my videos started to get a lot better, and getting a fair bit more traction. My first big sponsor was a company called Diving Sports, and the owner loved what I was doing and gave me a full set of proper diving gear. This meant I could start diving year-round and not freeze. You might know Lindeman Lake, and even in the summer, it's cold. Now try going for a swim when the lake is covered in ice. This kind of gear made that possible. You may be wondering, don't use scuba gear to do this? Well, my first few years doing this, I was only snorkeling and freediving, which meant holding my breath. No tank of air, just me and the water. Which meant, to answer my most common question, I can hold my breath for over 3 minutes, and the deepest I've ever dove on a breath hold is 85 feet. At this time, some of my videos were getting pretty popular, sometimes in the tens of millions of views, and people really started to take notice, to the point where I was even given a swellfish boat and ended up on a couple of news stations. For me, this was the peak. I was being given amazing free stuff just to do something I love. With the growing views, I really wanted to make one point clear though. Throwing trash in our waterways isn't okay, and it might sound like common sense, but apparently not to everyone. My goal became about education, using my trash removal videos just to show people what is really below the surface. Hopefully, just to make people think about how they can dispose of their trash responsibly, because sometimes I was literally pulling out metric tons of trash. I also started to get a lot of people reaching out, asking me if I could find their lost items. And on the surface, this seems pretty easy, right? They had dropped an item, and I just had to go down and pick it up. Well, that's the problem. Well, literally on the surface, it looks easy. But it's amazing how many people don't know exactly where they dropped their lost item, because often they're out in open water on like a kayak. And my favorite quote that I ever got was someone that said, "It's next to the dock by the big water." When trying to explain to people how hard something like that is to find, with a description like that, I say, okay, imagine it's dark, so you need a flashlight. The area is the size of a football field, you're holding your breath, and the item may or may not be buried in silt or covered in seaweed. As you can imagine, good luck finding that. But there's more to the underwater world, though, than just picking up stuff. A passion of mine, as you can see from the first slide, is fishing. So why not just combine the two? And trust me, if you think using a fishing rod is exciting, you really have to give spearfishing a go. It's all the excitement of catching a fish, but none of the waiting of the fish to come to you. You go to the fish. I've had so many amazing experiences on this journey and learned so many things about wildlife in our area. For example, do you know that along our coast we have a crab called the Puget Sound king crab? And that fish can weigh up to 10, or crab can weigh up to 10 pounds. Harvesting things like this is sustainable too, as it's one of the few fisheries with no commercial openings, and the only way to get it is to dive in and get one for yourself. But it's not always about harvesting. Some of my videos have been showcasing the underwater shots that most people have never seen. Each year, I look forward to the Vedder River salmon run, and not to fish it, but to experience their life cycle firsthand underwater. Holding onto the rock at the bottom and watching the salmon swim by is really like nothing else. So I hope to share some of these images and videos, and so hopefully it really punches home why we need to protect our waterways. These bits of plastic and other debris that enter our world can have devastating impacts on the marine life, from the smallest krill to the biggest whale. And as you can tell, I'm a bit passionate about diving, and I did end up learning to scuba dive. And I often get asked, which one's better? And there's really no good answer to that. Freediving and scuba diving both have their own pros and cons, but for me, freediving will always have my heart, just being at one with nature with all that extra gear. Some people meditate, some do yoga, or some even read a book to relax. Well, for me, sometimes I like to dive beneath a raging waterfall on a single breath hold, and honestly, when I'm 50 feet underwater, knowing that if I don't make it back to the surface, I'm done for, the last thing on my mind is that report at work due next week. When I think back to my very first video I posted, my creative leap wasn't about posting or trying to go viral overnight. It was having a small idea and posting without certainty, improving on each video, and having fun with it as I went. Having this as a fun hobby and not turning it into a full-time job that stresses me out is definitely key for me. All it took was one decision to press record and share that underwater world with the world. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. I've made lifelong friends, and I've had amazing adventures. These will last with me forever, and when I walk by my treasure shelf at home, I don't see random items. For me, I see the memories that bring me back to the day and the stories around how I got it. For me, that's what really makes them treasures. And if you want to watch some of my videos, rather than just some of these pictures, go check out my YouTube page, Aquatic Monkey. I just posted a new video this evening. Thanks so much.